Hi, I'm Claire and welcome to Genrewise, news from the world of SFF. I'm recording on March 26th and today we are going to start by looking at awards news, then we'll move on to books, fandom news, then film and TV news, and finally IRL news. For every item that I'm talking about, I'm going to link some extra information and more in-depth articles in the description box below so that you can always check there for further reading. First up in awards news, the Tiptree Awards have announced their 2018 winner. Gabriele Damian Marivette won for her short story They Will Dream in the Garden, and Adrian Demopoulos was also honoured for his work translating the story. In addition, the Tiptree Awards judges have put together the traditional Tiptree honour list, including works such as Janelle Monáe's Dirty Computer. This year there is also a long list of additional works that the judges found worthy of attention, including one of my favourite reads of 2018, Ship It by Britta London. Speculative fiction and translation editor Rachel Cordasco has revealed the results of the first ever Favourite SF in Translation poll of her readership. This is a resounding success with over 250 people voting for their favourites, from short stories, novels, anthologies and collections in translation published in 2018 to publishers and translators. Congratulations to all the winners, but especially Latin American Literature Today, who not only won Favourite Journal in Translation in that poll, but also published They Will Dream in the Garden, the winning Tiptree short story that I just mentioned a moment ago. Lastly, finalists have been announced for the 2018 self-published fantasy blog-off organized by author Mark Lawrence. The original longlist was 300 contestants, but now it has been narrowed down to 10 finalists. And as this is a blog-off, the winner will be determined by a jury of bloggers, including BFA winning Fantasy Faction and Caitlin of the BookTube SFF channel Kitty G. First up in books, we've got a title for Martha Wells's upcoming Murderbot novel. It will be called Network Effect and it is due out from Tor.com Publishing in May 2020. We don't have any new details about the story yet, but you better believe that I will report those as soon as we have them, because I'm a massive Murderbot fangirl, as we all should be. Next, we have a new Wonder Woman graphic novel just announced from DC Zoom, a new DC imprint for younger readers. Diana, Princess of the Amazons is written by Shannon and Dean Hill and illustrated by Victoria Ying, and it explores the life of Diana as the 11-year-old princess of Themyscira and the only child on the island. DC Zoom's new line launches in April 2019, but we'll have to wait until January the 7th, 2020 to get our hands on Diana, Princess of the Amazons. Next, we've got a couple of cover reveals, starting with a new book from Claire North, who previously wrote The First 15 Lives of Harry August. Her new book is called The Games House, and it comes out on May the 30th from Orbit. This deliciously creepy cover design is by Lisa Mary Pompilio. Next, we have the highly anticipated illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is of course written by J.K. Rowling and illustrated by Jim Kay. The book comes out on the 8th of October with a cover featuring Harry and the Hungarian Horntail during the first task of the Triwizard Tournament. It looks like it's going to be absolutely massive. If you've seen the size of either of the first 3 books in that collection, they were already quite large hardbacks. I have no idea how I'm going to even lift this book to read it, but I will obviously be buying it on release day because I clearly have a problem. And finally, we've got more pay what you want ebooks on Story Bundle. The Feminist Futures bundle that I mentioned last episode is still available for a couple of days at the time of recording, but there is also a new epic fantasy themed bundle that was curated by author Kevin J. Anderson. The basic bundle includes 5 books, but if you decide to pay over $15, you will get a whole 10 extra books, and the bundle includes a work by Alan Dean Foster and Christine Catherine Rush. As ever, when you set your price, you can choose what percentage of the money you'd like to go directly to the authors, and you can also donate to support charity. In this case, it is the Challenger Centre for Space Science Education. Next up is fandom news, and we are starting with a couple of exciting announcements from Dublin 2019, this year's Worldcon. 3-time Hugo Award winner Sana Takeda, best known for her work illustrating the graphic novel series Monstrous, will be joining the convention as a featured artist, and her work will be highlighted in the art show. Playwright, writer and social activist for the Irish traveller community, Rosaleen McDonough, is joining the Dublin 2019 team, and she will be working with the convention to share elements of Irish traveller culture with Worldcon attendees. Next up is a really fascinating survey on interaction etiquette between bloggers and authors. Book blogger Vicky Who Reads designed and administered this survey late last year, and she's now publishing the results as well as her own analysis and suggestions based on the data that she collected. There's currently one blog post up that looks at the responses from book bloggers, and she's working on analysing responses from authors right now. As someone with a bookish YouTube channel who interacts with book publicists on a not a regular basis, I found this analysis absolutely fascinating. I would definitely recommend checking it out, and also kudos to Vicky for doing an enormous amount of work on this project. I'm really excited to see the next post. First up in film and TV news, we have a director for Marvel's upcoming film Shang-Chi. This is the first MCU movie to feature an Asian superhero, and it will be directed by Hawaiian filmmaker Destin Daniel Cretton. If, like me, you weren't aware of the character of Shang-Chi before, he's known as the master of Kung Fu in the comics, and he's apparently got the power to clone himself multiple times, which does sound pretty cool. That's a superpower that would be pretty useful for an Avenger to have. Next, we've got some exciting adaptation news. Seanan Maguire's award-winning novella series, The Wayward Children, has been optioned for TV. The series followed children who have returned from magical adventures in fantasy realms and have to learn to live in the mundane world again. Joe Trax will be adapting the first novella, Every Heart a Doorway, and he will serve as showrunner. He's previously worked on Netflix's adaptation of A Series of Unfortunate Events. If you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you probably already know that I absolutely adore this series. I am so excited for this adaptation. I would like it in my eyeballs right now, please. Next up, we have Amal Al-Mohtar and Max Gladstone's upcoming novella, This Is How You Lose the Time War. It has been optioned for TV before it's even come out, and even better, Al-Mohtar and Gladstone will be co-adapting and executive producing the series together. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this. This book was already one of my most anticipated releases of 2019. It comes out from Saga Press in July, and it's an epistolary story about time-traveling spies from warring factions who become obsessed with each other. It sounds amazing, and I can't wait both for the book and also the adaptation. Next, we have an update on the upcoming Lord of the Rings TV show in the works at Amazon. The studio has now confirmed that the show will take place in the Second Age of Middle-earth, which does seem to go a long way towards squashing the previously existing rumor that the show would follow a young Aragorn. The Second Age of Middle-earth lasted several thousand years, and Aragorn was not born in any of those years. The Daily Dot has a really useful refresher on what the Second Age was and what actually happened during it and what might show up in the TV show. So if you are interested and you'd like to speculate on what might be in the show, there's a link to that in the description box below. Next up, we have great news for anime fans and honestly pretty much everybody else as well. We heard late last year that Netflix had acquired streaming rights for the cult favorite Neon Genesis Evangelion, and now we have a release date for the whole 26 episode series as well as 2 movies. They will hit Netflix worldwide on June 21st. This is the first time that the series will be streaming digitally, and the DVDs have been out of print forever, so I'm really looking forward to this opportunity to check out a show that I've heard about for years but I've never been able to watch. And finally, Supernatural is ending. The show's upcoming 15th season will be its last. It is truly the end of an era for TV and fandom both. Supernatural started when I was at university. It has been on air longer than I've lived in this country, and I've been here long enough to become a citizen. I haven't actually ever seen an episode of Supernatural myself. I only know of it through the various fandom tropes and fandom related scandals that it's inspired, but I know that is going to be a big deal for many people. So if you watch Supernatural, please let me know in the comments what your take is on this. Do you think 15 seasons is enough, or do you wish there were many more? Moving on to IRL news, Google have announced a new gaming service called Stadia. It's got this fancy launch trailer that came with the announcement, which was actually more confusing than anything else, because it doesn't really say anything about what it is that Stadia will actually do. But I did a little bit of research, and it looks like the service will allow users to stream games from the cloud onto Android and Chrome-based devices. Basically, it will do what a Chromecast does for TV shows and YouTube, but for video games. Apparently game streaming is the future of gaming, but of course that leaves the problem of what happens if a user's connection isn't the most reliable, or their network provider throttles them after they've used a certain amount of like enormous game data. We are going to have to wait for answers to these questions because Google has not announced the speed requirements for Stadia yet. And finally, I wanted to mention Kidlit for Christchurch, an online charity auction that is running until the 27th of March. I know there's not a lot of time left, but if you watch this while it's still open, I would encourage you to go and check it out. There are a lot of cool items that you can bid on, from books and art to writing critiques from agents, authors and editors. All proceeds from this auction will support the United for Christchurch Mosque Shootings fundraiser, which aims to help with the immediate short-term needs of the grieving families. You can find a link to the auction in the description box below. So that's it, this was Genrewise. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How excited are you for more Murderbot? Are you going to get the new illustrated Harry Potter book? And do you have any predictions for what will actually be in the Lord of the Rings TV show? Those are important questions and I want to know your answers. If you like the show, please share it around. I work really hard on it and I'd love for as many people as possible to see it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in a couple of weeks for more science fiction, fantasy and fandom news. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.